in the back, struck from a great height by someone who should know better than that. The dough days are over, dough days are done. Can you hear the horses? 'Cause here they come. Run fast for your mother, run fast for your father, run for your children, for your sisters and brothers. Leave all your loving behind. You can't carry it with you if you want to survive. The dough days are over, the dough days are done. Can you hear the horses? 'Cause here they come. 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 Hello! How's everyone doing? Welcome on in. How's everyone doing? Hope you all had a wonderful weekend without me. My parents were over. They are now gone, but my parents were over, which is why I have not been live, because I've been spending time with them, doing some things, and then in the time that I've not been with them, I've just been doing some other work stuff. So yeah, nice shirt. Thank you. I was wearing a little nice fancier shirt today because we were out for brunch. But yay! How are we all doing? Fidget is literally just like this shirt and then like jeans. How are we all doing? So, today's plan, if you're not aware, is where I'm going to talk about the Empire's finale, the Empire's SMP finale, and answering some of your questions and telling you some behind the scenes things and such. So if you have not seen it and don't want it spoiled, this is not the stream for you. Okay? That's kind of the way this will be. So you can go away, come back another time, watch a VOD, all that sort of things. But this will be your spoiler warning now. Okay? You've been told, you've been warned, you've been given all of the information that you have needed to receive. But yeah, gonna chill for another minute or two, let a couple more people come in, and then we're going to jump in. But it'll be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to be able to like chatting with you all about it. Because it was like there was a stream we did the other day or the other week where we were building stuff in Chromia, and I wanted to start talking about things, and I was like, no, I can't. The finale's not out yet. You all didn't even know the finale was coming at that point. I started trying to hint at it to you. I don't know if I think a couple of you picked up on stream where I like started slipping in a few hints that it was maybe ending around the same time as when I told you all that canonically my hair was shorter. Because I was like, no one knows this is happening. But which I mean is also in typical fashion. It's interesting. Fun if I'll start about that. I'll talk about that. Where with YouTube and mainstream media are two very different entities. In that, like, if a TV show is ending, so say you're watching, I don't know, Riverdale or Game of Thrones, the finale is you're given a date, you know when it's happening, it's hyped up, it's built up to like this is when the finale is going to be, and it just builds up more hype about it. But with YouTube, you can't do that. If people know something is ending, they start losing interest. It's why like episode 1s always do better than like finale episodes of series. So with that, like you can hint at it, as we kind of like did, or sort of mentioned, or you could tell things were slowing down, but you can't just be like, bam, finale, like, or no, you can't tell people like, hey, this is gonna be the second to last episode, like, you can't do that. You've got to kind of like give people less warning when it comes to like online content stuff compared to like mainstream media. But yeah, so compared to season 1, obviously we decided to, what do you call it? Season 1 we decided to do a big group finale type thing. Like we did one big event that then like had a domino effect of everyone's finales. We didn't want to do what the Hermits did, and like we learned a lot from also being friends with the Hermits and watching the Hermits and how they ended their season last year, where they did the moon fell into the world and it did everything. And what everyone else did then is they all played the same like finale cinematic, like that was what they all played. And what ended up happening was people watched 1 or 2 or 3 POVs and then were like, oh, okay, I know how that ends, so I don't need to watch Cleo's, or I don't need to watch Scar's, or I don't need to watch Pearl's, because you've already seen Gems and Greens and Mumbles, like you knew how it ended. So we wanted to do a big explosion or type thing, but we were like, we want everyone to have a different ending and a different reason for everyone to want to watch everyone's endings, which is why we did the way we did last time. This season was the same as that, in that we all wanted our own finales, but we did it in a slightly different way. We sort of all wanted, most of us kind of wanted happy endings this time. We were all like, we went through enough last year actually, so like, I just want to have a nice old time. I'm going to ride off into the sunset with my bestie. We're going to go on adventures, like things like that. So, answer a couple questions. Is there going to be a map download? I don't know. That is not my jurisdiction. I think that is Whip's. So, do not know. And will there be season 3? That is currently undecided. Last time we spoke about it, a lot of the other players on Empires didn't want a season 3. They weren't bothered about season 3. They were kind of like, let's not do one. I was like, no. I think we should do one. But the way I described it was like, you know, if you've just eaten a really big meal and then someone says to you like, hey, what do you want for dinner tomorrow? You're like, I don't come to me. DNI. No, thank you. Not interested. Like, don't think about that. That's the way I described it, where I was like, guys, we haven't even finished season 2 yet, so maybe we just wrap it up before we like figure out what's happening, like before we decide for next time. So season 3 is not off the table, but it is not on the table. Last year when we did season 1, we kind of knew we wanted to do a season 3. We were like, yeah, we definitely do want to do a season 3. We kind of already started like spitballing some ideas. We knew different themes. Like, it's funny, I had a couple theming ideas where I was going to do Toyland was funnily going to be one, but I didn't, obviously, and Candyland / like Desertland was going to be another theming I was going to do. But obviously I ended up sticking with the Chromia one in the end. I also was going to do a sort of like similar to what Ollie ended up doing, where he was building like Japanese architecture and pagodas and all that sort of stuff. I'd thought about that, but then decided not to. But it was a lot of fun. You think the Hermit crossover went well? I think the Hermit crossover went on too long. I think the Hermit crossover would have been a better Hermit crossover weekend type thing. I think what ended up happening was we kind of got the short end of the stick, and that we didn't. They were hours for ages, and then we were in their server for like a week. And the Hermits are much better at like making game content, if that makes sense. It almost would have, I think, worked better if it was in reverse, and that like they came to us for a week and we spent 7 weeks at theirs, because they're the ones with the games and the events and things like that, whereas like we don't really do that type of stuff. We do like story events, but you can't include the Hermits and that sort of stuff. So I think like it would have been better if it was flipped the other way and was shorter, I think, in the long run, because I think it was also just a bad time, and it was Christmas, everyone was busy. A lot of people were experiencing like burnout content wise, which is why like in the month of January. It was basically, Empire's SMP was me and Jimmy. That was what January was it was just me and Jimmy uploading. Did I enjoy season 2? I did enjoy season 2. I think season 2 was like a learning curve for us. I think season 1 was funny because season 1 started as, hey, we have an empire and you have a resource, and then we're going to go to war over things, and we're going to have fun playing back and forth. And if you want this resource, you need to trade with me, and blah, blah, blah. And then obviously one thing led to another, and we sort of ended up like, I messed with Shelby, and then so forth was Borton Zornoth. And we kind of had this like collective bad guy. But we then discovered that we'd had more of an audience who liked the storytelling. We were able to play into it a bit and let it evolve. Whereas I think for season 2, we kind of all went in super like, this is who I am, this is what I'm going to do, these are the story points I want to hit, and this is how I'm going to do it. And then it meant that it stopped us being able to mingle, because you were like, oh, well, I would love to get involved, but I need to focus on my story points. So I think season 2 was a learning curve for that. Where I think if we were to do a season 3, it would be like, sure, think of a character that you want to play, maybe a little bit of backstory like you would a D&D character. But don't plan like story arcs and things you want to tell, just let that kind of happen naturally. I also think the server kind of needs an overarching, not bad guy, but a thing to pull everyone together. I think that could have been the face stuff this season, but it started too late. Compared to season 1, where Zornoth kind of came in at a good point where we'd all set up our empires, we were all kind of progressing, and it gave us something to kind of like tie into. Funnily, I spoke about this on Beck's stream at the weekend, because I ended up popping into hers for a subathon thing, where like the Zornoth stuff was not meant to end when it did. In season 1, the Zornoth stuff was actually meant to go slightly longer, but there was a few people who did not enjoy the Zornoth stuff, and were kind of like, you need to stop that. And I was like, don't want to. Wish I hadn't. Like, it's one of the things where I think like that's something, I even said this at Bex, where I was like, I wish now, going back, I'd kind of stuck to my ground and been like, no, I'm going to finish the story the way I want to tell it. I wish I'd kind of like stuck to my guns with it, but obviously when you're doing a group server thing, if people are not comfortable or not interested in the way you're doing it, you kind of need to change the way you'd planned. But obviously I had to tweak and change for that. And I think that was like this season, people went into it being like, we're not doing an overarching bad guy, there's not going to be a bad guy for it kind of thing. And that was just like completely off the cards. And what ended up happening was like, there was then nothing to tie us together. I think also like, if we were ever to do another season, I would want to, like, we like the crown aspect. We liked bringing the crown back in from season 1. I think we would need to bring the crown in earlier, because both times we brought it in, it's been in the last like quarter of the series, and then only like 5 or 6 people get to do anything with it. I think like that could do with being a brought in at halfway point kind of thing, and then everyone gets a turn. Maybe even some people get to do it twice, like something like that if it's cycling through. I felt like season 2's ending was rushed for a lot of people. Was a reason for that. Season 2's ending wasn't particularly rushed. We've known you actually got the funny thing is Empires was actually meant to end earlier. This season was meant to end back in March time. And it sort of like came to March, and then some people were like, no, actually I don't want to, and it was like, oh, okay, guess we're extending for a little bit. The reason it will feel rushed is what it does with any series, where like people have where things they want to do or accomplish, then obviously the burnout kicks in. Like we played this season for like 10 months. Do you know what I mean? Like it was a long time. We got to a certain point where then obviously we were like, okay, we're going to end it. So suddenly it kind of ramps back up the server because everyone's like, okay, I want to get this finished, I want to get that finished, I want to build this thing, I want to do that thing. All of that sort of stuff is why then it sort of feels rushed, because people are kind of like, okay, I need to check these boxes of things I want done before they round everything off. So that's where it comes from, because it's not scripted. We're not writing the story from start to end. Like, a TV show normally doesn't feel rushed, because they write the entire season before they film it. So they write the entire season, or at least have a general idea of the season, and then they're like, cool, now we're going to do it. And obviously they make changes and tweaks as they're filming and whatnot. But whereas with us, it was kind of like, and as I think it's actually the Prince for 59 months, holy heck. Whereas like for us, obviously it wasn't like planned. We didn't really know when it was going to end. We have rough things, like, so that's why there's sort of ebbs and flows in like when the pacing with stuff. Why did the Fae come in so late? The Fae was kind of like a late minute or a last minute kind of sketch attempt to give us all a storyline to kind of like wrap into. I think it was just a bit too late. It was very fun, but it also took a lot of back end work and like coding to make it all flourish and work in the way it should. So that is the why that sort of worked. In Agnes' Basement Witchcraft was a skull in there from one of the else. It was. The whole thing, it was funny because like Shelby told me ages ago when they were doing Witchcraft that she was going to keep it as like the same character, like it was going to be our Witch from Empires, and I was like, cool. So that's why I was like, okay, if she's doing that, that makes like the worlds canonically the same. Obviously it's set after Empires 2, but I was like, okay, how can I Easter egg that? So that's why I was like, the skull would make sense, because the skull was like an ancient artifact magical thing, and Agatha as a witch herself would make sense that she would have procured it along the road somewhere, because you don't really know like the timing of when I like lost the skull kind of thing. I always imagined like Empire Scott was like late 20s kind of vibes, so probably lost the eye thing when he was around like 18. So then there was 10 years and then another 10 years after Witchcraft, or after Empires to Witchcraft, for like the skull to kind of move around different people, and obviously end with Agatha. For now. I say for now, nothing ever's going to happen with it. I'm not bringing it back up again. But that was sort of where that was. But it's also really funny because there was something like, we never found out about where the wizard and the skull went and the eye thing, and it's like, if you sell someone a desk, if you go on Facebook Marketplace and you're like, hey, here's this desk, bye, you don't then check up on it and find out where it is. You don't know that. Like, once it is gone, it's gone. Once that the wizard took the skull and left, it was gone. I had no inkling or reason to find out where it was at that point. I could now see. You were 38 years old in Witchcraft? No, because those are two different people. None of my characters have been the same character, I don't think. Like, in any of my series, they're all like different Scots. None of them are the same person. You've got to kind of look at it like an anthology series, where like it's the same actor but they're playing different characters, you know? Do you like when people cosplay your characters? I do. It's very strange, but in like an endearing way, where I'm like, this is wild, why are you wanting to dress up as me? The Antlers at the end of the finale was evil. The Antlers at the end of the finale was again another Easter egg of like, hey, there's the other thing that was also it's a really funny thing for season 2 of Empires. We decided season 2 of Empires was set thousands of years, like tens of thousands of years in the future, like long past when season 1 was. And then I think Sausage in his video said it, like in his intro of something, was like, oh, it's set 1,000 years in the future. It wasn't. It was set thousands, like 10 to 15, 20,000 years in the future. Because elves live a really long time. So if it's just set 1,000 years in the future, my character could technically, obviously he died in his, but like the villagers and like could still exist. The empire still could exist. that was one of the things that got like miscommunicated right at the start, and then the audience were just like, haha. Like, no, Empire Season 2 was set several thousands of years in the future, not just one. It's been something that's like not bothered me, but it's always been sat there and I'm like, why? It's funny, there was, like, I never really got to explain it. Oh, wait, okay, this was something I seen, a couple of people ask about, and I realized that, like, I had written, this is one of the issues we had with Season 2, is I had written, like, different story arcs I wanted to hit through Season 2 to explain things, and then I just never got to, because I was, like, really busy last year and just different stuff. And then, like, I was really busy, and then we got into the Hermitcraft collab, and then we only had a few months left. So I never got around to telling a lot of the things. So what was with the llamas? Okay, so there was a lore reason I liked llamas. My whole backstory, I wonder if I can find it, actually. I swear I had a Google Doc, where I wrote down, like, backstory. Let's see. Empire Season 2 character lore. Okay, so what I wrote down was like, when he was young, Scott would travel the world with his parents, exploring new cities and meeting new races from all over. His parents were archaeologists who would delve deep into ancient ruins and lost cities in hopes of learning about the world and the people who used to live in them. One day, his parents set off on what should have been a short 2-day expedition, leaving Scott in the care of his aunt. But after many days passed, they realised that his parents would not be returning. Many search parties were sent looking for them, but all that was found was a single feather that used to be in his father's hat, and a small carved llama made out of wood. That is where the hat, the feather, and the fedora came from, and the like for llamas. Many years passed, and after inheriting some generational wealth, Scott set out in his parents' footsteps, exploring the vast worlds ahead of him, collecting treasures and sharing the wonders of the world with others, all while hoping he doesn't meet the same fate as his parents did. This is the kind of backstory I'm thinking of going with. We'll probably do some more lore PCs and like flashback things. So yeah, also Scott was like rich, like pretty well off. Was my plan originally, was that like I was coming, like I had the money to fund my lifestyle and expeditions and adventures. But yeah, so that was why I became a big thing with llama, was it sort of like, oh, my dad had carved or my mum had like carved away a little figure on their travels that they were planning on giving to me when I got back, and then something happened and all they found when they were looking for them was the feather and the llama. So that was kind of where that sort of bit came from. It's funny, so then I have oh, I forget different stories I sort of had planned for this. So like I have Llama Owen, which is the story I did. Like we did that one pretty well. I also have the missing llama was one of the things. So it was going to be like one of the llamas goes missing from the Chromia statue. I'll go around investigating and asking different people if they've seen him. Interrogate Flip because he steals things, Lizzie because she's animal citizens, Jimmy because he gets annoyed at me. Eventually I'd find a trail of carpets leading to a cave. After going into it, I found a big llama, which is the Mount Llama. Son of kind of magic water made him grow into a bigger and fancier llama, and I'd take him home and build a llama garden for him and all the other llamas. The reason that changed was the person who made the models for Empires this season made like all of them. Like all of the villagers, all of the tools, all of the weapons, all of the wings, except Lizzie's villagers. And maybe her wings, I don't know. Lizzie and Catherine made her own stuff. But that was sort of the way I was going to get the llama, but then because it took so long, it meant my llama mount didn't get added till way later, so I didn't really get to use it. What D&D class would Scott be? Probably like a rogue. Like a rogue or a bard, but like not a musical themed bard, more of like a adventure. The way I used to, when I came up with the character, it was basically Willy Wonka meets Indiana Jones. Like that was kind of the vibes, where it was like the sass and colourful style of Willy Wonka mixed with the adventuring and Tomb Raider-y sort of stuff as Indiana Jones. That was kind of the goal. Hi, Jack! The other one that I never did, which it was funny, so like, you know, Pix did the Swashbuckler Rogue would fit? No, because that's like piratey. You know, like Pix did the big temple he built for Joey, the big pirate cave thing. The plan had been Pix was going to build one of those for me, and I was going to, at the end of it, when I was exploring, find some riches and whatnot, but I was also going to find a sort of like voodoo looking doll thing, like a little ragdoll-esque thing. And I was going to be like, sure, I'll take it. Like, get in the bag, was I shoved everything else in. But I get a weird, so I was like, I have bullet points when I was describing this. So it's sort of like, go exploring and eventually find an idol of some sort, a voodoo doll. Get a weird vibe from it. But hey, I'm a collector, so I'll take what I can. Then there'd be a weird, spooky cutscene at the end of the episode, making it seem ominous. So like I'd put it on display, like in my display area. And then at the end of that episode, it would just be like a kind of like pan, like really slowly near the doll. And that'd be it. And then I wouldn't mention it. Nothing would come of it for a few episodes. And a couple of episodes later, I'll do a bit where I end off the episode having a nightmare and then like wake up and I'm really confused as to where I am. Because I'm like suddenly in like my collection room where I'm like, huh? Like what? What's going on? And then I walk into frame. Like, so basically I have then swapped places with the doll. Like it has possessed me and put me into the doll. So it would come in, except it would have had red eyes, rather than my heterochromia, and the doll would have then looked like me. So then basically I was just gonna, it says, well, I have different color eyes depicting I'm now evil/possessed. Then do the next episode as like evil version of me. Is kind of a dick to everyone, breaks shit, steals stuff, is what I have down there. As like someone eventually comes looking for stuff I stole and finds the voodoo doll version of me, and then they would take that to Shelby. And then they managed to break the curse. I return with the evil spirit they sent, that like the evil spirit that took over would be like destroyed. And then the voodoo doll would just be a creepy doll that was sort of like left. That was going to be one of my ones, but I just didn't get a chance to play it. Or to like play it out. So it's something I can always do at some point in the future. I'll leave it like long enough where like if we cut to like 2 years down the line or a year down the line and decide to do this, none of you will remember that. Were you inspired by Alma? I don't know what Alma is. What's Alma? Yeah, so that's a couple of little like story things that I never really got to tell. Oh wait, there was also another one. So I forgot I scrolled down here. The other flashback, I'm trying to come up with a decent. Oh Jack. So one of the other things that was like I had sort of said in passing was that like I used to be good at, what's the word? Gymnastics and things I did in the past. So it was sort of like flashback to me saying goodbye to my parents as they go on an adventure to explore some ruins. Me with my aunt who works at a traveling circus. I do gymnastics, tight ropes, jumps, etc. Crowd cheering on me as I do my tricks. Because between me doing this for several days before a shot of a sheriff coming into the circus holding my dad's hat and talking to my aunt. So this was like me being in the traveling circus with my aunt when I found out my dad's parents had went away. No one knew something to go wrong. They never returned from the expedition. Dad's hat was found in the entrance of the ruins. Like, stayed with Matt until I was 18, then set off to explore. But that was sort of how the flashback to that was going to be. I'd planned on doing a lot more like flashback lore stories this time, and I think that was one of the hindrances of this season compared to last season, where we tried to kind of give too much information on our life before the series started. No, it wasn't Old Sheriff Martin. This was written way before Martin was involved. Speak of the devil and he shall appear. There's Martin. Hello, readers. Welcome on in. How we all doing? How was your stream? What did you do? No, nothing. I just said it was like, in one of the stories that I never told, I'm going through like a couple of stories I didn't tell in Empires, and one of them was like, a sheriff comes in to basically be like, hey, your dad's dead and your mum's dead. And everyone was like, sheriff? The old Sheriff Martin? I was like, no, this was written before Empires even started. Like, this was before any of that existed. But yeah, that was sort of where that was going to be. It was just hilariously timed with you reading the moment I talk about, I use the word sheriff. So yeah, so that was kind of like what I think was the plan for this season, but also what like hindrance this season of Empires was. He'd have been best at the job. He 100% would have been best at the job. You're so right, Martin. It's funny because like I really struggled, Martin. At the end of my series, I had a voiceover of like, so Scott and Owen went off on an adventure, blah 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 blah, and I realized I was like, I don't have anyone else I can go to for the voiceover because you're in the series, so I couldn't use you. Owen, who I would have normally went to, was in this year, so I couldn't use him. So I sat there like, who do I get to do this voiceover? I ended up getting Kyle to do it in the end, like Kyle F. I got to do it, but I remember like you're my go-to for like good voiceovers. No, not your normal voice, but you know what the audience are like as soon as like they can't comprehend the fact that it's the same person. Like they'd be like, oh, the sheriff did the voiceover thing, and it's like, no, they didn't. Like it would have just been Martin. So I have enough other friends. I found someone. Kyle's got a good voice, so I got him to do it. I'm trying to rack up cameos here. Going, it's the same as I have no idea why Sausage decided to ask Owen to be Hermes. Like, I was like, what you've done is you've got a llama to voice your child here. Why? It was a fun. Oh my goodness. Why am I summoning people? You are awesome, Kyle, and incredibly hot. And talented and funny. Okay, guys, give me a celebrity I should talk about. I need someone I can, because right now, Taylor Swift. Yeah, Taylor Swift would be wild if. No, Crystal, I said celebrity. Yeah, Taylor Swift, my gosh, if Taylor Swift was to join in here right now, that'd be wild. Because right now I have 2 for 2. Like, but yeah, it's funny because I've seen a couple people be like, they wish they had more Owen. Llama Owen was a funny one because it's like Owen wasn't part of Empires as a cast member kind of thing, like one of the original cast or the group cast kind of Emperor sort of situation. So we couldn't like have him be too much in. Owen was the first cameo sort of thing we did this series where we were like, hey, I want to include this person as a thing, to see how it go, and it sort of opened the door for like Shelby then wanted to at one point have Wilbur play Tortoise, and obviously then Jimmy had Martin come in as the sheriff. Like I think when we kind of realized that it worked and the audience received it well, it kind of like opened the door to more people having people play things. But yeah, Owen's llama thing was good in the increments it was very fun, but he couldn't really stay there longer, if that makes sense. Like, he is a very disruptive character, and I would not have been able to progress with him. But if we ever did another series, I would like Owen to be involved. Same as I'd like Martin to be involved. Mindy Catboy, thanks so much for the Prime sub. I think they both kind of showed that they were very good fits with that group. Like, they both blended very well with the group, which was nice. So I think, like, even if it's not an Empire series down the line, I'd like to, like, work with them both again. Obviously, I worked with Martin all the time when we did the Life series, and then I worked with Martin and Owen when we did Rats. But I've not ever got to, like, really play, like, a survival series with either of them. Like Empires, where you get to kind of, like, play just normal Minecraft. So I'd like something to come up at some point where I get to kind of do that. I think that'd be fun. RGB in Season 3, we need to decide we're having a Season 3 for that to happen. Do you have any ideas for future videos? I mean, I've got the... what do you call it? Taskmaster style video at some point. But that's all I kind of have at the moment for now, is like probably doing that sort of stuff. But SMP Season 2 happening? I am the wrong person to ask for that. Rats SMP and the POW creation things are Owen and Apple's. So if you ever want to know information about them, you have to go and ask them, because I am currently 0 for 0 of leaking anything to do with like Rats or when they did the one-shot stuff. So I'm not risking it. I'm not going to talk about them because they're not my thing. Give you a spoiler as a treat? No, because it is not my stuff to spoil. The only time I will talk about like other people's SMPs aren't mine to go in charge of is if I have permission to. It's the same as like I can talk about MCC team process and like maybe give hints or leaks or spoils about people that are in MCCs, because that is my field to talk about, but I would not talk about changes to games or things like that. Any modded have I ever had my own SMP? I mean, X-Life was mine, Afterlife was mine, Harmony Hollow was like partially mine with Brett. One Life Season 2 was mine. So like I have had plenty of like them. You mean Afterlife Season 2? I don't know if we would do another Afterlife. It's like, it was fun to get to play with all the Origin stuff, but it's a lot to manage modded SMPs because so many mods conflict and such. Who was One Life Season 1? That was Yami. Who started Empire's SMP? That was Whip. Whip started Empire's SMP. What's my favorite SMP? I think we've been doing SMPs for such a long time, and I think Empire's SMP is the first one where we've kind of like created a legacy, and that like we're now up there with like Hermitcraft. Like it's sort of like, it's like Hermitcraft and Empire's SMP are sort of the two big SMPs in the field at the moment. Before it ended, Dream SMP was up there as well. And I think like we never had that before because we always would make new SMPs. We never really did like Season 2s. But now obviously with Empires, like we did Season 2, we did the collab and all, I think it sort of solidified us like up there. Especially since we're also friends with a bunch of the Hermits. So I enjoy that kind of thing. Like I enjoy the fact that we've got that kind of like build thing. If you're invited, would you ever join Hermitcraft? I don't think I offer anything to Hermitcraft, and I also don't think Hermitcraft offers me anything. I don't think I have the time and commitment to keep pace with the rest of the hermits. Is my issue. What's the new skin for? The new skin was for, I was like planning on recording this like adventure map thing I'd found. That was quite cool. Where you sort of like were a little like fantasy world traveler person, but it ended up like the map wasn't very good. I sort of seen some screenshots and seen some bits and I was like, that looks cool, I'm gonna do that. We got a skin made, got some people in to do it with, and then like partway through we were like, this is kinda not great actually. So that was what that was for. But instantly people were like, okay, go do fan art. Like, who's my favorite person to collab with? I don't know, I have different people. Like, I don't have like a certain specific person. Everyone that I like do usual bits with is always really fun to do stuff with. Like, Martin's really good because me and Martin are very similar mindset. Like, Owen's very fun to bounce bits off of. Jimmy's really fun to bounce bits off of. Was it Sausage's idea or your idea for a beach episode? So it wasn't originally meant to be a beach episode. It was basically when Jimmy did his whole I'm a villain, I'm shirtless now. Sausage was like, we should get shirtless skins and go over and be shirtless because that's what he's doing. And I was like, yes. And then we didn't do it for ages. And then we decided obviously to do it at the end. I was like, yeah, we could just go and like set up down at the lake or something. So it was technically Sausage's idea though. Do a side series of Empires to your Adventures Zone? No. I like those characters are like done sort of thing. Like that's kind of it. It's finished. All the cards you've played, what was your favorite? Honestly, probably Vampire Scott from Afterlife. Like getting to play, like being incredibly broken powerful wise was really fun to play with. So it was probably Vampire Scott or Witchcraft Scott were the two fun ones to play. Because Vampire Scott was just a menace. Wait a minute. Am I going to miss most about Empires 2? Probably just like having a server with all my friends that I'm on. Obviously it's, what's the word? Like being on a server with your friends at the time is fun. Obviously we will do something again. It's just we don't have anything like set yet. Would I ever collab with Catherine? I mean, I've even done stuff with Catherine before. When I do my escape rooms or something, I'll get Catherine involved. But we're going to upload now Empire's over. I'm probably going to take like a couple weeks to do like one-off videos. Like the, what do you call it? Taskmaster style video and stuff like that. And I have a breather and then sort of decide where we're going content wise. Sort of come up with a new series or something like that. Try and figure something out. I've been working on something. But other than I am working on something, that is about as much as I can sort of say. Why did Hermits and Empires collaborate? Because we're friends. So we were like, hey, we should do something together. Because that's basically what Limited Life is. It was Hermitcraft and Empires combined. Why did Angel Scott die? Because Lizzie killed me is a enigma. Oh. Remember Stacey Plays? I do remember Stacey Plays. I was at Disney with Stacey last year. Prefer modded or unmodded? I prefer modded, personally. I enjoy Empires and such, which is... I remember back when Empires Season 1 was first kind of told to us, I was like, I don't know how much, like, how long this will last. I remember me and Lizzie speaking about it being like, yeah, I think that'll probably last, like, a couple months. Because, like, there's only so much you can do with vanilla Minecraft. Obviously, we were very wrong, thankfully. But I remember back then, because you were so used to just playing modded at that point, we were like, ugh, I don't know what I'm going to do. Whereas Lizzie's finale, you are right, I am her assistant. Let me check on my calendar for Lizzie to see when she has that scheduled to come. Oh wait, I'm not her assistant, I don't know. Don't ask about other people's videos and other people's chats. Because it's rude. Ever played with the create mod? I have not. I've been interested in it, but the create mod like slightly scares me. Because I'm not a big fan of technical mods. It's sort of like, I know it's not the most I hated Technic and all that. Tubbo loves those type of things, and that's for the sort of mod packs Tubbo always runs, and I hate those servers. Create mod is sort of like an in-between, where like I think I would be down to like play it and try to like explore it, because it's sort of like steampunky technical, if that makes sense, rather than like mechanical technical. But it's just hard. They're making another mod life series. I mean, potentially. Playing around with a life system as a series is always a really interesting one, because it's almost like perfectly built in, where Shadow the Banana, thing for the gift sub. It's perfectly built in where, like, say I had 10 people in the series and it was like, okay, we're doing a life series where you have like X amount of lives or one life or whatever. And then someone is like, I'm not vibing with this, doesn't really work for me, I'm not as interested anymore. Rather than them just like kind of going inactive, like False did for Empires 2 kind of thing, and then you're left with a lot of like, people are like, oh, I'm to False's thing, blah, 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 like that sort of thing. Same as Pix in Season 1. With live series things, it's quite good because you're able to be like, okay, just off yourself in a video game then. Like, if you're not interested in doing it, just and move on. And then like the audience stop asking about it, they stop getting questioned about it because it's like, oh, they died, they're out. Like, people know that, it makes sense. So that's one of the things I think that's fun to play around with those. Do you plan on branching out with games or just sticking to MC? I like keeping my YouTube quite like YouTube or Minecraft focused. I know what works so well on YouTube, and it's Minecraft. Twitch, I like being able to explore and try different things and whatnot, but with YouTube, I will probably keep it to just Minecraft. There's the odd game I might dip my toes into and such, but probably majority will say Minecraft. Of all your life series, which one was your favorite? If you're talking about life series as in like the ones we do with Green and such that he runs, I'd probably say my favorite base would have been probably the one from Last Life. Last Life or Third Life. So either the Moss Manor or the Flower Grotto. Both of those were probably my favorite. I also really loved the Coralisles, not gonna lie. I'd say it's probably my least favorite was the little house me and Cleo had on opposite sides of the mountains. Like, it was fun thematically of like having that, oh, we're different sides of the mountain, blah, 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 but like I don't think it had I don't think it had as much of a landmark power as the other ones have. You know, like In season 1, the flower kind of like hollow, where me and Jimmy were, the flower grotto, was quite a memorable location. Same as the Scottage in season 2 was a very good like location kind of thing. I say season 3 didn't feel as memorable. Like you had things like the ship in Pearl's Tower and that sort of thing, and like the cake, the green net belt. But I feel like Double Life we didn't have. I feel like the majority of Double Life wasn't as good for like landmarks. Whereas I think season 4 when we did Limited Life, we all had better. Like there was the Bread Bridge, and there was the Carlisles, and there was the Team Ties Tower, and there was the Clockers Tower, and there was the Nosy Neighbours Tower. Like I feel like that season had a better landmark sort of builds again. A Vods channel? I do not. Will there be more empires? I do not know. Currently, we do not know. It is just finished. None of us are thinking about season 3 right now, so it is unknown. We're going to be playing more Legends soon. Legends, sort of, the interest from other people died. I enjoyed Legends, and I enjoy Legends if I can do like a 4v4 situation. If I can get 8 people to want to play it, it's a lot of fun. But majority of people aren't interested in playing it anymore. So it's hard to play. It's not fun to play yourself versus online. I don't upload my Vods to YouTube because it's a lot of time in my day that I don't necessarily have or want. Bye, Margaret. Is Limited Life map smaller? No, Limited Life map wasn't smaller. It was the same size, if not a slightly bigger. The difference was we all just built on the same like side of the map. Normally we spread out into like all corners so you're forced to explore, but basically where the Woodland Mansion was, everyone built on this side. No one really built over here, so all this was like empty space. I don't play Among Us as much anymore. I still play Among Us like every Wednesday normally. Like, I say every Wednesday. I play Among Us on Wednesdays if I am free to do so with that group. Then you want to team with in the Life series? I think, again, we don't even know if we're doing another one. I think I would like to team with Impulse or Scar or Etho. Because, like, I've teamed, or I get to interact with the other people more. The Life series, again, is not my series to decide. That is Grian's. He gets to decide with that stuff. You want to see making enemies with Cleo? That wouldn't happen. Me and Cleo just get each other too well. Like, me and Cleo are like same brained. We're like, you're never really going to get us being opposites in a series. Me and Joe will be chaos for Team Double Life series. We would be, but I think me and Joe can interact and do stuff so much already, like with empires and such. So like there's not, and me and Joe have been making content together for years. The reason I like the Life series is it was a chance to get to know a bunch of people that I didn't know as well. So. It was never my, like, I wouldn't say it was my goal to win in Last Life. It was sort of like, as it was coming down to it, it was like, oh, I could win this. And then after that, I don't want to win other series. Like, after that, I was like, I don't want to win Double Life. I don't want to win Limited Life. Like, do, 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 do. You like hugs? I love hugs. I love how this has changed from me talking about Empire, so you've all just now started asking questions about life series. Flower Husband's officially dead. Flower Husband's officially was dead like a year ago. We made a thing being like, hey, we're not doing it anymore. I had that conversation, and then it sort of just crept back up again. Like, you will get little hints and nods and like us making fun or like teasing Flower Husband stuff, but you're never going to get actual Flower Husband's content again. Do, do, do. Do, 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 do. Do you ever find in public if I'm with your friends? No, I'm happy for people to come up. As I said, the only times I wouldn't want people to come up is like if I'm in the middle of eating dinner at a restaurant. Maybe don't then. But, or like if I'm in the queue going to the bathroom. Maybe don't then. But any other time, pretty much go for it. Yeah, I don't know where my bow skills came from in Limited Life. I'm not gonna lie, they just popped out of nowhere. And shareable ideas for MCC. I don't know much about MCC related things. I basically manage the teams, and that's about it. Like, I don't get in, like, we have the debriefs, or we'll talk about like, hey, what games do we want to put in the thing next event and all that sort of stuff. But like, by the time that's done, or by the time we have those meetings, the teams are already done. I never make teams based on the game orders that are going to be there. Has everyone released their final Empire's finale? No. I think Lizzie hasn't, X hasn't, and Ollie hasn't. I think that's it. Tattoo and Empire stuff to do with magic? No, it was just a tattoo. But I think after B-Dubs killed Skiz as a boogie, it was great because I didn't feel as bad anymore. Yeah, but False also kind of just dipped off the series, so I'm not expecting a finale from False. Oh, transparent chroma is amazing. Funny thing is, like, I don't know, do I have it? Is it here? I think it is. So last year, oh wait, is it this? Not this. Where is it? Ha! So, last year, when I was going to America, I was at the airport and I seen this book, and this little notebook, and I was like, this is really pretty. I want it. So I sat on my flight and wrote like ideas for Empire's, like Empire Season 2 ideas, as it says, like Empire Season 2 ideas. Where I was like, I'm going to write out a bunch of ideas of things I can do for episodes. So like, if I'm like, I'm really struggling for an episode idea, I can look at the book. So it's like farm overhaul, so plant big fields of crops, pens, barns for animals, windmill build and storage, which I did. Farms for Empire trade, set up skeleton spawner, which I did. Flower machine, which I did. And then the caravan shop, which I did. Ancient city raiding, which was, I didn't really do because it was I need to plant a custom relic to find. Because I'd planned on getting custom models built for a lot of things and putting them about to like find and collect. I just didn't get to do that. Number 4. Look. Llama Express. Llama Express is in here. Collect llamas, carpets of all the colours, rail system. In a villager trading hall, which I didn't really do, I built little houses. I have my enchanting build, which I did. And it says, visit Shelby and do iStory flashback, which I did. I had Shelby come and I did the flashback for my eyes. Blacksmith / forge, Empire Edition, which is Central Garden, Greenhouse, Llama statue. I did the kind of gardens, the llama gardens, and I did the llama statue on the bridge. And then Treasure Hall, which sort of just became my... So it was like, Treasure Hall, build to display things I find, can ask stuff from other empires, mega build, move out of starter house, large new base. So I combined those two and I made like my display thing in my manor house. And then that's all I wrote. Like, I'm the type of person who'll buy an entire cute notebook like this, and then the only pages that are written in are these, whereas this is all empty. I'm not written in anything in here. Honestly, I might just start writing a few of my ideas. I might take this with me on my next trip. Because I'm away next month, so... Whose final was my favourite? Mine. I had the best finale. I actually liked Shelby's. Shelby's, I think, was my favourite. Shelby's kind of had the advantage in that because hers connected to a series that's already happened, you're already like, oh, I know what happens to that character. I know where that goes. So it feels more fleshed out. Whereas the rest of us are all kind of like, okay, like you get to make up the bits in between and such. If that makes sense. You ever done our Sims Hunger Games? No. Where am I going next month? I am off to VidCon. Joey's ending was cute. Will there be a musical? No. The Skeletron tied to Skeleton? No. Not related. We're going to take a break. I'm going to probably have a little break. And then I'll work out some sort of thing. I said I've been working on something SMP wise, but like it's not ready to go yet. And from you and Milo, who was your favourite witchcraft? I think my favourite person to like do little bits with in witchcraft, fun enough, was Eloise. I think it was really interesting. Eloise's videos for witchcraft were really, really good. And I think the way she kind of pivoted her videos into sort of being like a vlogger, like YouTuber type thing was really fun. And I think it was all really cool to kind of see take that way. Plus, Elle was like, it was that joke that kept going around of like me and Cleo showing up to a coven meeting with our wet cats. And like I've got Lauren and she's got Eloise. Like it was really fun to play with. What's my favourite Empires building? Probably my Mega Manor from Chromia. The roof of that was really fun. Do I enjoy playing the villain? I love playing the villain. Playing the villain is so much fun. Getting to play a villain in like a Disney villain-esque way where it's like sassy and kind of thing. So much fun. That kind of villain, it's always like 3 steps ahead. I love playing that. The only issue is you can only really play that if you're the bigger creator. So like, I could have played it in Rats. Obviously my character wasn't a villain and whatnot, but like I could have played it in Rats, and I got to play it in Area Unknown. And it was fine in Vampire Scott because like the people that I played with were like around my size, if that makes sense. So like Gem and Saucers were the only 2 that like I actively harmed and killed. But like if I was to be the villain to Lizzie, it would come back to bite me because the audience are too young to understand that it's a bit. That's why I loved getting to play Zornoth, because the audience who are too young to understand and get annoyed at me are too stupid enough to realize that it was just me voicing Zornoth. A favorite building from the other empires? Honestly, all of Gobland was wild. Same as Joel's like Stratos, like Upper Stratos was really, really cool. I've built in this guy before and it's so like I do not envy him for doing that. Every time I hear Teal again, no, probably not. The what do you call it? It's so hard to like it clashes so much. Where'd you get the idea to have Owen come in and play a llama? I'm pretty sure that was literally just I became friends with Owen last year, and then obviously I knew I was doing the llama thing. So when I put the orange carpet on, I was like, hey, the orange, white, that's Owen's colors. And he called it Owen and was like, cool. And then decided to like work. I was like, could I do a whole thing of like a mini story arc, like a 1 episode thing of like having him become human? And I asked Flip and he was like, sure. So that was kind of where that was from. Area Unknown is like roleplay survival SMP owned by Gucky, who is Amesie's girlfriend. And a bunch of people are on it. I'm on it. I streamed it for a little bit, but they're planning kind of doing an overhaul with Area Unknown, and I don't really have the time to commit to it while I've got other SMPs and such. So my sort of plan for whenever they kind of redo that is I will probably just dip my toes in on other people's streams. Like I'll come in and play my character on other people's streams rather than me doing a stream myself. How did Owen turn back human during your trip to Hermitcraft? It was just Shelby's magic sort of wore off, was sort of the vibe. It was sort of like when she turned it back, she didn't turn him back fully. So it eventually just like wore off and he turned back to being a human. Do you see more Origins SMP? Probably not. As ever goes through waves, but like right now no one else is playing it. So it would just be a single player series if I was to play it. And it's a new SMP you're working on? No. Connections with Tubbo Justice Duo. Why am I mean Tubbo Justice Duo? Where does that come from? Or with us in D&D, I love D&D. Are you generally reacting to Skizzleman's affirmation? Yeah, because I'm not used to people saying that many nice things. Like, to me. What's my favorite empire other than my own? Probably... Season 1 would probably be Lizzie's empire. The ocean one was really cool. Season 2 would probably be Dawn, I think. Dawn was very pretty. If someone's absent from a series, do they give a heads up in the Discord before? Depends on the person. Like basically when everyone else kind of took January off this year, they all kind of put in being like, hey, we're gonna be like, I'm gonna take a break. Anything after the collab's done, like I'm gonna take a break from Empires, blah blah blah. Or like Pex in season 1 was like, hey, I'm not gonna be playing after this thing because I need to focus on the survival guide and all that. Whereas like False just kind of disappeared and then never came to meetings and never replied to things for season 2, so we didn't have a heads up for that. So it just depends on the person. Empires is not my thing to decide who would join. I think if we were to add new people, I would definitely be pushing for Owen and Martin as opposed to anyone else right now. Just because they've both been good additions and are active, and I think would both add a lot to the series. But at the end of the day, it's not my series. I don't even know if we're doing a season 3. So. Favorite D&D character I played? My Twilight Domain Aasimar, or my Twilight Domain cleric who was an Aasimar. My Discord server /great is probably chaotic as hell with SMPs you are /Ren. I every so often go through and like clear all of my Discords. I also like do not add people that I do not know on Discord. I'm very particular about that. But I also have like a bunch of my Discords in folders, and I tend to keep everything pretty like tidy. It's the same as like most of my, aside from like a couple things, my like folders in my phone are all like color coordinated. So like there's blues and greens. You can't really see because there's no, there we go. You can see like they're all color coordinated. Obviously there's a couple new apps I haven't thrown into it, but I keep everything pretty organized. I have a favorite fan art for Empire. I don't have a favorite one. Like, fun enough, like this is my background, and then my background behind it is also that one, and then I also have I have this one as a background option as well. It's like me and Little Llama on. And then the background of that is Rat Scott. And then I also have a cool witchcraft one set up, which's background is Elle just peering through the thing with her eyes. And then I also have this one, which is really cute. Which is Elle in the background of that one. And then I also do have this one that Vio did, where it's like Origin Starborn Scott. What phone do I have? The iPhone 14 Pro. And then I also have, so on my computer, I do I have an image? I don't know if I do. On my computer, I just have a folder where I throw, what do you call it? Images for like wallpapers. So like I have this one, which is really cool. I basically just, anytime I scroll like my major fan art hashtag and I see something I really like, I tend to just throw it in. So like there's this one. There's also this one, which is really cool. I love this one. I also then have this one. I think it's Doodleist who does this one, and like their style feels very Pixar, which I kind of love. And then I also have this one, which someone did like Empiressmp like as a mermaid for Mermaid, which was super cool. And then the other one that I have in the rotation was for Witchcraft, which was this one. This one felt almost like the Heartstopper comic style, which was super cute. So that's, I have a few fan art that I like. I want to, if I do another modded SMP, one of my favorite builds I've ever done in an SMP was in X Life, and it was my art gallery museum. And that series was so good because we had the mod let us put in art into the server. So I really want to do that for like a future SMP where I can like throw fan art of my favorite ones in. Why are the servers ending so quickly? I mean, Empires was 10 months old, which is our usual run time for servers, for my group. So I want to do something like that where I can like include fan art in a future thing. Because there's so many really talented artists out there that do amazing work that I want to be able to showcase. But Empires felt like a Monday. I think because the collab kind of split it up into two sections. So there was like before the Rift and like BR and AR, before the Rift and after the Rift. And the Rift section took such a chunk of the time that like that's where it kind of obviously had that collage kind of thing. But yeah, Empires 2 was longer than Emperors 1. Look, I do enjoy playing more Empires Scott 1 or 2. Empires 1, it was interesting because like Empires 1 was like your anime story stereotypical like chosen one narrative where like, oh my goodness, I had this secret brother thing and I'm a champion of a god and blah blah blah. Like it was very like, I am the chosen one, I am the main character of this story, blah 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 blah. Whereas I actively made the point of like season 2 being like, yeah, he's just a funky little dude who like steals things and like he has a magic eye and like that's about it. But other than that, like, he just goes on little adventures and he steals little things and, like, it's just lots of fun. Like, I purposely didn't want magic. I purposely didn't want, like, a god-esque story type thing. It was just, he's a dude who does little things. He's just a funky little guy. Which is a lot of fun to play with. He's just a little guy. It's like this dog is pure red. I paid $1,000 versus I found this cat in the trash and I love him. Yeah, very much that. Very much that. It was sort of like a charismatic rogue was sort of like the vibe of D&D terms of Romea. Whereas like season 1 was very much like sorcerer, uncontrolled power, magic, like that sort of thing. Or cleric. Probably cleric. Arcane trickster, but I just didn't have magic. That sort of thing. I didn't do magic. The only sort of thing I had was the eye that let me see magic, which I only ever utilized like a few times. Mainly because it would have been a pain for my editor to edit that glow every time I seen something magical. Luckily, no one else aside from Shelby really had magic in Empires, other than it's also just staff. But I did season 2, Scott coming to be a ruler. He kind of just set up shop in an area and was like, I'm going to build here. And then other people started flocking to it and was like, yo, this place is cool. Can I stay here? And he was like, sure. And that's why he was like, I didn't really plan to be a ruler. It just kind of happens. Like, y'all are great. I'm going to go. Origins is not, like, Origins SMP is not my series. So it's not my thing to come up with a season 2 and whatnot. Oh, I actually think I'm probably going to call it there for tonight's stream. It's been an hour and a half, and we sort of ran through all of the questions that we all had to do with Empires. I should be live tomorrow. I don't know what I'm doing. There is the possibility of me having a brand deal at some point this week for a pretty cool game, but I do not know when that will be. So it could be tomorrow. It could be on Thursday. Also on Thursday night, I have MCC practice with the team, which will be fun. But thank you all for coming and hanging out tonight. It was fun answering all your questions and such. We're going to go and raid over to Owen, who is doing some hardcore stuff. If he's just building, you can maybe ask him questions about Llama Owen if he wants to answer those. But if he says he doesn't, do not harass him. But thank you all for coming and hanging out. It was a wonderful time. I love you all very, very, very much, and I see you all later. Bye!